Hi, I'm Ayayeshe, and on this occasion of Wesak, coming up to the Buddha's birth and enlightenment, I just thought I'd give a short talk on the Buddha's radical compassion. So, we all know the Buddha as a historical prince born in Lumbini, northern in India / Nepal, 2,600 years ago. And we might go into a temple and see a golden Buddha. But what do we know of the Buddha as an actual human being? As a deeply inspiring and personal journey of someone who had every opportunity in life, every pleasure, a beautiful wife, fantastic consorts, lots of money, lots of power, and who gave it all up to seek awakening. Perhaps there is something even more depressing about the malaise of people who have everything and haven't had to work for it. Because if you are at the top of your game, you're famous, you're young, you're healthy, you're beautiful, you have everything, and it still doesn't make you happy, it really has to make you feel depressed because you have the pinnacle of what everybody says happiness is, but you find it to be empty. Uh, and to see through the sycophants and all of those things, those pleasures, to see that everybody's vying for power, and the power doesn't last, beauty doesn't last, and to develop empathy for the people outside your gates who are suffering birth, old age, sickness, and death, and to give it all up to seek the ultimate awakening shows a depth of character that very few famous, rich, powerful people in this time possess. But the Buddha was such a person with a profound sensitivity to the human condition. He saw the nature of human suffering, the precipice, the danger of dying without awakening, without getting out of the wheel of birth and death, without finding a solution to human suffering. And he said, if this is so wonderful, then why do I feel so dissatisfied? Why this happiness doesn't last? This every pleasure relieves some kind of suffering, but doesn't give us lasting satisfaction. How to end this human suffering, this frustration, this dissatisfaction. And so the Buddha left behind his life of indulgence to live, under trees and have one robe and live a life of austerity that he had never experienced in the palace. So ultimately, the Buddha was kind of like many spiritual teachers, like Mahavir, the founder of Jainism. He was steeped in he'd studied the Vedas and the different yogic schools of his time, but he discovered something unique and original. And if you really immerse yourself in the teachings of the Buddha, it's not hard to see that though later Hindu schools and Buddhism came from the same cultural milieu, and some similar ideas are there, like rebirth and samsara and moksha, liberation, nirvana. Buddhism is a distinct and different path, and it is a disservice to Buddhism to say that Buddha is an incarnation of Vishnu, or that Buddhists believe Buddha is a god, because there is no God in Buddhism, and there is no self in Buddhism. So Buddhism is a completely distinct religion from Hinduism. Hinduism teaches a soul, eternal self, Paramatman, and a God, a creator God, Brahma. even though, that certain Westerners might describe that as an archetype also. um, the general belief is in Hinduism there is a God and there is a higher self, and in Buddhism there isn't. Um, so if Buddhism is distinct from Hinduism, what is it? What does actually Buddhism teach? It is a shame that Buddha's revolutionary thinking uh, was erased by Brahmanism in India, because the Buddha's ideas are original, vibrant, timeless, and profound. Uh, the Buddha was anti-caste. The Buddha was, compassionate. He preached non-violence. He discouraged people from doing animal sacrifices. He discouraged people from doing blind faith. And that's why he was a threat to Brahmanism, because he basically put the Brahmins out of work. He said, you won't cross to the other shore, the shore of liberation, by praying to the shore to come and take you. You achieve liberation through your own effort. And he also said nobody is, like, nobility is not a birthright. It is only by one's actions is one noble, right? Only by one's actions is one a true Brahmin or a noble person. And he also accepted people from the lowest caste into the Buddhist community at a time where they weren't regarded as human beings. And also he accepted women into the Sangha at a time when they were regarded as little more than property. So very few, he was way ahead of his time. Very few spiritual teachers of thousands of years ago have, done the things the Buddha did. Renounced a kingdom, leveled class, leveled gender discrimination. Although Buddhism is not completely without patriarchy, the Buddha was certainly way ahead of his time. And also, I think the idea of not waiting until you're old to practice the spiritual path, and understanding that anyone of any class, any gender, any level of power can seek the radical freedom of liberation. So the Buddha is not a god. The Buddha is an awakened person, one of many past Buddhas and future Buddhas that will come. We can all become a Buddha if we purify our mind, accumulate merit, and seek the path of liberation, and refrain from non-virtue through the path of Shila, Samadhi, and Prajna, ethics, concentration, and wisdom. Ultimately, the Buddha, in Buddhism, we take refuge in the Buddha as our teacher, the awakened one. But in Buddhism, the universe comes into existence like different worlds arise, abide, and dissolve, and space is vast. There are countless universes, countless worlds, and time is like a circle, no beginning, no end. And different worlds come into existence through communal karma. But and everybody has the seed of awakening in them. They just need to meet the right conditions, just like a seed is there waiting, just needs the right conditions to ripen. So the message of Buddhism is actually quite revolutionary. It's fundamental equality, anti-hierarchical, anti-priestly caste, anti-caste. Yeah, very, very egalitarian. We take refuge in the Buddha, the awakened one. We take refuge in the Dharma, the path of awakening, 84,000 different dharmas, different paths, but basically what leads to liberation, what leads to freedom, what leads to freedom from delusion, from ego grasping, from negative emotions. And we take refuge in the Sangha, which is fourfold: the monks and nuns, the bhikshus and bhikshunis, as well as the upasaka and upasika, meaning the householder, male and female yogis and practitioners of Buddhism. We follow the 5 precepts, which most people know, and but ultimately, in Vajrayana, the refuge is Guru Deva Dakini, meaning the guru, one who holds the Vajra mind, the adamantine mind of awakening, or the teacher, the holder of the lineage, whether they're male or female. The Deva, meaning the deity, the embodiment, like these embodiments behind me. They're not gods, but they are either bodhisattvas, spiritual warriors, or archetypes of what we ourselves can become. Like we all have a wrathful Buddha inside us, we all have a compassionate Buddha inside us. And by meditating on the deity, we purify ordinary self-grasping into the mind of the deity's mind. And ultimately, we realize the emptiness of the deity and ourselves. And Dakini is the messenger, the semi-wrathful female embodiment of wisdom that could be shock us into awakening, or could be a messenger of peace or bliss. But basically, she represents the wild. She could also be a nature spirit, but she basically ultimately represents the pure awareness display, the blissful, luminous, primordial wisdom nature of mind, to shake us out of conceptuality, out of over conceptualizing, to realize the wisdom display in the arising of all phenomena, the primordial wisdom, bliss nature of our own mind. So you could say the ultimate refuge is the Sangha is the clarity of mind. The Dharma is the emptiness aspect of mind, meaning clarity, meaning you can know things. You can reflect on them. Emptiness, meaning though we can know things in the world and they appear, they are not as solid as they appear, and they arise due to complex non-self elements, infinite causes and conditions. So they're in a state of constant flux. They lack a permanent, unchanging essence, but rather arise due to infinite threads and causes and conditions. And then the fact that we can both know things and that they're empty of a permanent, unchanging self, or like a dream. You can know a dream, but you also wake up and it's gone. You can't hold it. Even if you look at your mind in the present moment, it is constantly changing moment by moment. So the union of clarity and emptiness is the ultimate Buddha. So taking refuge, being aware of the clarity of our mind, the spaciousness, and the fact that we can't hold on to anything, that everything is in a state of constant change, made of light, made of energy, flowing luminous awareness, ungraspable, like the flight of a bird across the sky. And the union of these two, this is the ultimate refuge. So it's always good to remember that the Buddha is your own nature. The Dharma is the path. You just need to return back to your true home. And the Sangha are the friends, the bodhisattvas, the arahats, the past female and male masters, but ultimately your own wisdom mind is the refuge. You just need to sweep away the dust and return back to that true home. So I think the Buddha had profound compassion in showing us this path, but he was really quite revolutionary, not in an egotistical sense. He was extremely humble, but extremely wise and skillful. It is very sad that his wisdom has almost been forgotten in India. It was preserved in Tibet and in Southeast Asia. But I think we have to question how that happened. And, if you're really sincere in the Dharma, make every effort to try and practice it and preserve it and support those who are doing so, support monks and nuns, places of practice, so that the Dharma, the Buddha Dharma, may flourish in these difficult times in the world. It's easy to feel a sense of despair or isolation about all the economic, social violence and uncertainty, climate change, social injustice, these times that we're living in. But I think it's really important not to give in to despair and to strive on with diligence for awakening, and be kind to yourself, and rest, water seeds of happiness in yourself and others, and light the lamp of Dhamma in dark places. Thank you so much. May all beings be happy. Happy Wesak.